You mentioned Mike Pence, so I'm going to talk quickly about, I'm sure you've heard the news, the speculation. Is he going to run for governor? Is he not going to run for governor? Is he going to give up some of his leadership responsibilities? What are you hearing, and what do you think about it?
Well, I've personally encouraged Mike to run for president. That I think he's a sleeper. I think it would be very hard because Sarah Palin and Mike Huckabee have the natural evangelical base that would be Mike's, but I don't believe they can win the nomination. And that Mike, because of his political experience and ability to work with the regular party, could, but I don't know how he gets out of the primaries, and that's what he's looking at very carefully. Indiana presents an interesting option for him. He probably would have to go up against Evan Bayh. On the other hand, it's going to be a Republican year. On the other hand, if he beats Evan Bayh, then he's a national figure. If he loses to Evan Bayh, however, he may be done, although he's a young guy. These are difficult things. As a practical matter in the House, he's blocked. He isn't going to beat John Boehner. He's not going to beat Eric Cantor, and because Boehner moves up one slot, Cantor moves up one slot, then McCarthy goes whip. Mike actually drops in his House clout and has nowhere to go. So staying in the House isn't a tremendous option right now because he's been our spokesman, but the other guys are likely to emerge more. So I think he'll explore governor, but he is a sleeper for president.
And so, but you think, I mean, governor could be a step for him for president.
Yes, he's a young guy. He doesn't have to be in a rush. I'm 60. Mike isn't. Not that I was ever going to do what Mike's trying to do. I was plenty happy, Congress as far as I was going to go, but Mike could serve 8 years as governor and still be a viable presidential candidate. You know what the biggest problem is going to be for Mike as governor, and this is what he has to be thinking about? I don't know how you follow Mitch Daniels. That Mitch and I we don't have a close relationship, but I honestly believe he's the best governor in the history of Indiana, McNutt and Bowen being the only rivals. And he's done such radical different things in how he's done the budget. Whoever's the next governor, what are you going to tackle? He's literally turned the state around in almost every category, so it's more of a sustaining. Now, I'm not saying there isn't anything you could do, but it's going to be a real challenge to follow Mitch Daniels.
What if Becky Skillman, what if she says she wants to run? What do you see in a primary race between Pence and Skillman?
I think that Mike becomes a prohibitive favorite. Mike also could bide a little bit of time because there's a big question whether Senator Lugar is going to run for re-election. He's a lot older than I am. I consider 60 pretty old, and Senator Lugar is far past that. So it's possible Mike could go for Senate and Becky for governor. Because she was part of the Daniels team, it would be more like when Bob Orr followed Governor Bowen, that when you follow somebody who's really shaken things up, you might want more of a caretaker to implement, and she would also be our first female governor and knows the inside. So she would probably beat anybody except Mike. But if Mike runs, his ability to fundraise, his national fame because of his, quite frankly, his skill as a broadcaster makes him very difficult to beat. So he would probably be the favorite if he gets in.
What about if you, let's say Pence made it out of the primaries and did face Bayh?
I think it comes down to the year. Personally, I think President Obama will get clobbered in Indiana, so Evan Bayh would be in a very difficult position. I also think some liberal Democrats aren't real happy with him, and depending on what kind of agenda Obama ran on, that would be difficult. Now, with 2 more Democrat congressmen losing, he's only got 3 of the 9 Democrat congressmen holding him up in advertising. The state legislature is much more Republican. He's got Mitch Daniels there, who's maybe making his own presidential run. All of this means that I tend to think that Bayh might not run. This really isn't a good time for Evan Bayh to kind of put his career on the line. He is a family guy. He's not that old either. He could wait until 2016 if he can find some form of a forum to keep his name up. He's still out there. You know, the other impression I have, and I didn't know Evan Bayh very well, but you know, Evan Bayh maybe becomes president of a university. He's more of a reader than people think. He really likes his kids and being a family guy. I talked to his press secretary one time on a plane. We were sitting together, and he said, Evan really is a boring guy. It's not like I didn't write jokes for him. He can't deliver jokes. He is a regular Hoosier. That is both a strong political thing, but he may just decide to be a person for a while. As I've learned, it's kind of fun.